He offered him some help up. Let him get up by himself. He offered him some help up. Shiloh didn't take your outstretched hand. After a moment, you dropped it. Lizzie was too busy snickering to notice and held her hand out to Shiloh too. He reached over and took it. Never gonna help this kid ever again, huh? Nope. Slowly he tried to pull himself from the ground. Then he slipped onto the slick sand, dragging him and Lizzie down just in time for another wave to hit. The water rolled over them.
Sorry.
What were the odds of that happening twice in a row? You thought they must be low, but there's no way Shiloh would do something like that on purpose and pretend it was an accident, especially not to Lizzie. Even if your relationship with Shiloh felt unclear, you did at least like her a lot. Lizzie was his favorite, right? Smiling boldly, Lizzie extracted herself from the ground and wiped a streak of sand from her cheek. She didn't intend to let this embarrass her. Shiloh got up again as well, this time without incident. He still looked like a drowned puppy, but that didn't stop Cove laughing at the two of them. With that, it was time to call it a day. The four of you made the journey back home, leaving a trail of wet footsteps and sand in your wake. Damp clothes may have weighed down some of the group, but your spirits were high. Your arms swung side to side as a cool breeze flowed past. Your moms were outside chatting to Cove's dad. We're back! Your mom's faces fell as they took in the state you were all in, raging from messy to soak.
Now.
Elizabeth, is that all that you have to say for yourself? You brought half the beach back with you. They certainly did. What's Marigold going to do when she comes to get Shiloh? Is that how you want him to go for the long drive home, cold and filthy? Lizzie's expression turned sulky over the scolding. Being the oldest could be fun, but it also means she was the first to get in trouble when something went wrong. Mr. Holden, on the other hand, chuckled as he ruffled Cove's matted hair. You've been out making memories, bucko. I'm glad you had a good time with your friends. Cove used a slightly moist cast arm to push his dad off. Mr. Holden's eyes widened when he noticed even that had gone and went. Now he was worried too. I think they could have found a less risky way to spend time and just had as much fun. That might be right. Kids, what can you do? Come on, Cove. Let's get you cleaned up and dried off. We wouldn't want that cast to have to be reset. Cove winced at that thought.
Okay.
That a boy. Mr. Holden casually bent down and plucked Cove off the ground, ultimately holding Cove back against his chest. Sand was already transferring from Cove onto him, but that didn't seem to bother Mr. Holden. Cove protested being carried, but only got a reassuring pat on the back for his trouble.
Take care.
Good night, Cove. Thank you for the talk, Cliff. Night, Storm family, and Shiloh too.
Fine.
Well, we better do what we can to fix you guys up, too. Come on, everybody, inside. I want you to march straight to the downstairs bathroom. Yes, Mom. Okay, Lizzie's mom. Don't worry about stopping to wipe your feet on the mat this time. That won't do much good tonight. Sitting on an old beach towel your mommy had found you waited in the hall. Until you were less sandy, you weren't allowed to go to your room or walk around the house. But you get to eat a sandwich for dinner there. It felt like an indoor picnic. It hadn't been decided that Shiloh would wash first and borrow some of your clothes. He was already finished and packed away in his mom's car. Miss Field had come to collect him a little while ago. It was a bit of a funny experience seeing him without that hat on for once. Lizzie, being much more soaked than you, got to go to the tub next. It wasn't a bubble bath as she had hoped. This was a no fun allowed cleanup session. At least that's what she claimed. Not much longer, and it would be your turn. When the bath was done, you'd have to go right to bed. After a day like this, though, you were glad there weren't going to be any further events. Drifting off to sleep sounded like a great idea. And look at that, we got one event left. Sandcastle. Cove wasn't able to do many things that summer. When him and Shiloh sat out on the shoreline one bright morning, you could tell he wanted to be in the water. But there was no way he'd be swimming anytime soon, not with his cast. The waves washed a single shell to shore, glittering and blue, another reminder of the places he couldn't go. From what you heard about Cove's old life so far in tiny pieces and fragments, you could tell that he'd do anything to be able to get the cast off, like make a pact with a witch or something, just to get it off his arm. He thought about how his summer last year must have been totally different from this, with his old home and his mom and dad. But now he was here with you and Shiloh and Lizzie and everyone else, and he couldn't even go in the sea. This town wasn't bad, it had all your favorite things in it, but sitting there on the same beach you'd grown up on, you would understand that not everybody else felt the same way about Sunset Bird as you did. You watched him from the corner of your eye, quietly, and he finally said aloud what you had been pondering. I wish I could go in. The water? Yeah.
Oh,
I'm sorry. You're gonna be able to do it soon. Cove only sighed in response. Apparently soon wasn't soon enough. It's so pretty, the ocean. Mm-hmm. And huge. There can be anything out there, like mermaids. I wish you didn't have a cast. I don't really care. Swimming would be fun if we could. I'm fine here on land. I feel like this would be a comforting thing to say. Alright. Obviously not interested in hearing much more of your input on the situation, Cove turned back to the water. But as he looked away, something about Shiloh's slow, careful movements caught his eyes. Hey, are you building a sandcastle? Sort of. I was only playing around while you were talking. I'm listening. Maybe I could too. I've only made big piles before. It's really nothing special. I'm sure you'll be good at it right away. Well, how do you do it then? Shiloh's cheeks lit up. You could tell he was a little bit uncomfortable to have Cove's expectant stare on him. I'll play too. I love making sand stuff. I've never really made one before. There's nothing else to it. I love making sand stuff. He put his hands back to his seashells in the sand and nodded. I don't do a lot. Here's how I like to get a house started. Shiloh, focusing more intently than you'd ever seen him, guided Cove through his process. You happily used your own method. It didn't take long for the three of you to have humble structures prepared. That's all, kind of. You can do anything now, like make it bigger, add some seashells, carve a pretty pattern. I bet you'll have great ideas.
okay.
I'm gonna make it bigger. Mine is gonna be a real castle. This is gonna be a house. Looking at the base of your sandcastle, you decide to make a house, a castle, a mansion. I mean, I always went for the classic sandcastle. Looking at the base of your sandcastle, you decided to build a fancy castle. The better part of the next hour was spent focusing on your own work. The boys were the same. Even Shiloh didn't sneak as many peeks at everyone else as he usually did. You finished shaping before either of them did, glancing up from what you built. It seems you got done so fast because they already searched around for extra decorations. Shiloh had grabbed most of the really interesting stuff, and Cove had a lot of shells, but there were still options. The first thing you reached for was a blue seashell, green piece of sea glass. I feel like the sea glass would be. Wait, what is? Okay, I've never been to the beach a lot, cause like, so when I hear a green piece of sea glass, I assume that's like broken beer bottle. Like, I feel like that'd be cool. But I'm gonna look it up just in case. So sea glass. Like, is that a thing? Oh, those look pretty. Like, I mean, if that's. No, wait, I gotta go for that. That's beautiful. I thought it was just a broken beer bottle. It was the best fit for your castle, you decided. It was see-through and sparkly, so you put it in a funny place where it'd take a second look to see it. Pleased with your results, you finally took a proper look around that wasn't focused on sand itself. Both Cove and Shiloh seemed super immersed still. You knew you could probably sneak a peek at either one's work. Check out Cove's sandcastle. I shouldn't look, you know? I should wait for them both to show me when they want to. You decide not to look. You said watch some clouds go by. Silence was then broken. What's on top of yours, Shiloh? You peeked closer to discover something shiny sticking out of Shiloh's sand chimney. Oh, it's just a gum wrapper. It looks like smoke. It's good. That's smart. Yeah, I didn't think of that. I guess I don't see it. Could be an architect here. Yeah, I didn't think of that. You really know a lot about this. Shiloh smiled with a word, and that was that for the current topic. Z, can I see what you did? Sure. He began surveying your work. The castle you built was pretty impressive, all things considered. It had archways, tall walls, and even a little moat circling it. You would probably feel safe living there. Maybe your moms were the queens. Shiloh quickly decided to jump in the new conversation. Hey Z, what did you do? This is my castle. Shiloh didn't look so happy anymore. You both built castles?
Yeah.
Aw, that's neat. How you guys matched. It's too bad we didn't all do it. Next time we should. I didn't even think about who did what. I was just like, yeah, classic plastic sandcastle. Wouldn't that be boring? If something is the only one that makes it special. Yeah, for sandcastles and stuff. People too. My dad always says how everyone is their own man, a real individual. I don't think I'm very special.
Why?
Why not? Nobody else is you. Shiloh simply shook his head. I'm not different. A beat passed between the two. Cove then looked down at his own work again. Okay. He didn't seem to be bothered leaving the disagreement hanging there. Cove had other things on his mind. My dad tried to get me to make sandcastles the first time we came to this beach. I didn't want to. Cove trailed off again. There was another moment of silence. Shiloh shifted and opened his mouth to say something, but Cove spoke up before he could. He didn't think he noticed that Shiloh was going to talk. Hey, do you know what happened when your moms met my dad, Steve? You waited to see if Shiloh could say what he wanted to. When he didn't, you considered Cove's question. I wasn't there. They didn't tell me. I just remember what happened when I met your dad. Mr. Holden had been a weird stranger then. Well, he was still kind of strange. No other parent acted like him, but you knew him better at this point. Now that you thought about it, it made a lot of sense that Cove's dad talked to him about people being unique. You were pulled from your thoughts when Cove continued. Well, I was there. I don't think my mom has met your dad. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she hasn't. These parents and my dad met the same day I met her. I'm gonna say what happened. Shiloh frowned to himself, ducking his head. His hat cast a shadow over his face. You could tell he was upset not being included in Cove's chosen topic. Oh, but you can just listen and be happy. Like, it doesn't have to be about you. That was kind of boring for him, though giving people their own turn to say things they want is important too. He stayed silent and let Cove finish his story. I think Shiloh wants to talk too. Oh, this is hard. Shiloh can wait his turn, honestly. Yeah. You stayed silent and let Cove finish his story. Shiloh could talk about stuff after Cove had a chance to share what he planned on. When we moved here, we didn't bring a lot of things with us, only some stuff that would fit in Dad's car. We didn't even get a moving truck. I sat in there while Dad brought it all inside. I didn't want to get out because I knew Dad would make me look around the new house. I really didn't want to do that. His lips twisted into a frown as he recalled that. Then I saw your moms. They were in a car too and stopped at your house, so I guess they were coming back from somewhere or something. My dad noticed. He waved his hand and went over to the front of your house where he started talking to them. I don't know what they said, I couldn't hear it, but he couldn't see me anymore since he was looking the other way. So I opened the car door and left. I wanted to go away and look behind the houses. I found those hills there, the ones where we met for the first time. Cove nodded, then stared at you. You stared back. He didn't go on to say anything more. Aren't you going to finish your story? Cove's brow wrinkled like he didn't understand why you were surprised. That's all that happened. Okay, why didn't you want to tell the story? Why did you want to tell the story if nothing happened? You gotta be better at telling stories. That was pretty bad. Thanks for telling me. Why did you want to tell the story if nothing happened? I don't get what the point was. But that was how our parents met. I didn't make the story up. That's not really my point. Cove was not understanding the issue here. Shiloh's mouth twisted into a scowl of disbelief, but he said nothing. Why'd you bring that up anyway? There was a slight shrug of Cove's shoulder. I was thinking about it because of the sandcastle and made me remember when I moved here. Dad showed me the beach first before we went back to the car to unpack. He was really excited about it for some reason. Cove's brows furrowed a little more as he quickly raked his hands through the sand. I get it. I thought maybe Mr. Holden wasn't that excited about the beach and was instead hoping Cove might be. But the line of conversation had come to its end. Even Cove was done with it. Some other topic had popped into his head. Shiloh fidgeting uncomfortably in the sand had made Cove aware of his presence again. They looked at each other, and you could only wonder what this might be about. Hey, Shiloh. Yeah? Why are you always turning so red, even when nothing is happening? Clearly startled, he jerked back. Neither you or Shiloh had expected that to be how he got included in the conversation again. I thought he was gonna cry for a second. I was so worried. I don't know, I guess... Okay, that's kind of weird. Shiloh's eyes were wide with embarrassment, and his lips twitched, and he was blushing even harder than before. Maybe it wasn't only this, perhaps it was simply the last straw, but it was a big deal to Shiloh. Huge deal. He didn't just look sad, he seemed almost panicked. You weren't sure if he was about to cry or run away or what, but you soon got an answer. Why do you wear glasses? Most kids don't wear glasses, and nobody's named Cove. Oh, Shiloh.
Who asked you to come?
It was probably just your dad bugging Z's family some more, because you don't have anyone else who will ever play with you. Shiloh! Cove blinked. The tension on the beach was suddenly uncomfortable in a way you didn't know how to laugh off. It didn't seem like the kind of thing he'd get upset about, though. You hadn't ever known what kind of thing would bother Shiloh. I'm sorry. Oh, they handled it quickly. Me too, I was just wondering. Hey, let's build another sand color. You try to play on your own. Are we gonna build more? You nervously mess with the sand. Hey, let's build another sandcastle. The day's gonna be over soon. Ah, Z, you're right. The sun is going down so fast. Y'all went back to making more sandcastles, but the whole mood had changed. Shiloh's cheeriness was clearly gone, and Cove looked as confused as ever about why the other boy had blown up. The air stayed uncomfortable the rest of the afternoon, right up to the moment that Shiloh's mom appeared at the beach to make him home. At least he tried to do something to resolve it, though, and it seemed like it helped. Even though Shiloh's smile when he said goodbye to Cove wavered, it stayed as bright as ever for you. That had to count for something. But with Shiloh gone and the sun going down, you knew it was time for you and Cove to head to your own houses. The two of you trailed out of the park together toward the neighborhood. The walk home was quiet. You passed by familiar landmarks, shoes thumping against the sidewalks in near perfect unison. Cove was clearly caught up in thinking about something. You asked Cove what he was thinking. You say it sound. What would I have done as a child? Who cares? I should just ask him. Something was definitely up, so you chose to reach out to him and ask. Hey, Cove, is everything okay? You're making a funny face. I was just wondering. Cove fell silent again for a few more seconds and sighed. Why'd Shiloh act like that when I said he was all red a lot? You were being rude to him, just being a baby. You shouldn't make fun of him. I don't know, it's just Shiloh. He gets embarrassed. You shrugged at Cove with no answer to give. He gets embarrassed. Embarrassed, but I didn't say anything that bad. It might have upset him anyway. I guess I can get it, why he would do that. Sometimes I get really mad too. Despite seemingly coming to a conclusion, Cove's mood was still sour. What Shiloh said didn't make sense anyway. Parents always talk to other parents and get stuff set up stuff so that their kids play it together. My dad didn't do anything weird. I mean, Shiloh doesn't know. You struggle not to make a face at that. His dad definitely did something weird to try get you to spend time with Cove. Cove didn't know that. Nobody's making me spend time with you. Your dad does do stuff so you'll hang out with my family, but Shiloh shouldn't have said that. You decided to tell him about how his dad offered you money. Nobody's making me spend time with you. Cove's shoulders relaxed. You hadn't even noticed that he had tensed up. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Anyway, I knew the whole time Shiloh shouldn't have been saying things like that. You nodded, but you didn't speak. You kept your eyes firmly on the ground. But now the two of you were on the sidewalk near your houses. It was time to part ways. Bye, Cove. Your parents hadn't planned anything for you, though you knew that you'd see him eventually. Cove nodded, already turning away. Bye, Z. You made your way to your house at a leisurely pace, going up the driveway to get to the front door. Before you went inside, you looked back. Cove was halfway to his house, his hands shoved into his pockets. You still felt a little unsure with what you were supposed to do about the deal Cove's dad had offered. You didn't want to say anything bad, or something you shouldn't. You might change your mind sometime. There were always tomorrow, after all. But for now, it was definitely something that you'd keep to yourself. With a final look, you went inside your house. And we did all of this. So, I think I'm going to end the recording here. And I'll be back next time to do this, to end the summer. We're going to save over that. Yes. And I'll see you guys next time when, I guess, I'm guessing when the summer ends will be on the next step. So I'll see you guys at the next step. Bye.